Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Podcast Action Committee, episode 122. I am Andrew Eisen, and with me, as always, is Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, everybody. So, how are you doing?
I'm kind of irritated because I'm playing. I did finally finish Hyrule Warriors. Spent 171 and a half hours writing that guide. Time well spent. And I immediately jumped right into writing the guide for Lego Batman 3. And, yes, Matthew, I very much would like to play Valkyria Chronicles. I wanted to play it, 4 years ago, 5 years ago when it came out, but I didn't have a PS3. But, yeah, that game looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I got it on the PS3, and I've played it. I haven't beaten it yet, but yeah, I really enjoyed it.
So, writing the guide for Lego Batman 3. Warner Brothers did not send enough review copies, so I had to buy one myself. Oh, well. I had to set foot in a GameStop. And what was funny is I was in the GameStop buying Lego Batman 3, and they're trying to find a sealed copy because only sealed copies for me, thank you. And I spied the Prima strategy guide for Lego Batman 3 sitting on the counter behind me. It's like that thick. I'm like, oh, God, what am I getting into? And I grabbed a copy of the guide, and I looked at it, and it's both the console and the handheld game in one guide, so it's actually two guides in one, so it's only that thick. But I've been playing the game. I just beat level 8, I think, 8 or 9, and out of 16. And yes, Matthew, I know all Lego games are buggy, but this one, I was mentioning to some friends this morning. I was like, you know what? I haven't come across any glitches or bugs. I've come across some questionable design decisions. I've come across some things that could be solved if the Traveler's Tale would actually playtest the games, or bring in people from outside to play the game. You would, for example, Batman and Robin have different suits they can change into, which give them new abilities. So I was in a level, and I needed a magnet suit to interact with some object, and I didn't have Batman or Robin has it. Whoever has the magnet. I didn't have Batman or Robin with me, or Cyborg. So I'm like, oh, I must have to come back later in free play. And then I wandered around the level and couldn't figure out where the hell I was going. I couldn't figure out anywhere to go. And through happenstance, I found out, I went, oh, Joker has suits. I did not know that. The game did not tell me this. Suits is not a thing Joker is known for. It's not in the instruction manual, which has a typo, by the way. They get the X and the Y button backwards. It's correct in the digital manual. It's backwards in the printed manual. This is the kind of thing that if they grabbed someone off the street, had them play the game, these are the kind of things that they'd catch.
Yeah. That is weird that they would suddenly change up the Joker's power set without telling anybody. Yeah, it's just, where does the Joker suits come from? It's like, I don't even recall the Joker using suits in any movies, cartoons, or shows I've seen. So
one of our chat members says how many Lego games have been out this year alone. 3, I think. Lego Movie video game, Lego Hobbit, and Lego Batman 3. I think it's those 3, but that's enough for 1 year.
Yeah.
Let's see. So anyway, other than that, things are going well. I'm playing it this afternoon. I'm about half an hour into level 8 or whatever the last one I did was. And I hit a switch over on one side of the stage, and the camera pans over to go, look, this is the result of what's happening because you hit the switch. Isn't that neat? And then it pans back, and it goes clunk, and it stops, and it won't move. The camera stops and doesn't pan all the way back to me, and I can't move my character anywhere. So I'm like, oh crap. So I try pausing the game and unpausing it. I try to finagle the controls to get it to work. I try going into the home menu and back. Doesn't work. I'm like, okay. So I sync my remote, and I do the 2-player drop-in, drop-out thing. I come in as a second player, and it does the split screen thing. And the little tutorial box goes, bloop. With 2-player mode, there's a line through the screen, and one guy's on one side, explaining how 2-player works. Yeah. And it says, press B to close the box. B button's not working. So I have this box in the middle of the screen. I can control the other character, but I have this box in the middle of the screen. I can't see what the hell I'm doing. So I ended up having to reset the level and start again. And I don't know if that is reproducible. The QA guy in me wants to attack that from different angles and try and reproduce that and see how to get that to happen. But I don't have, being that I'm writing the guide for it, I really don't have the time. So, other than that, though, it's a really great game. It's got a lot of really wonderful details. For example, when Wonder Woman takes flight, it starts playing the Wonder Woman theme song from the Linda Carter TV show in the 70s. Nice. And I was like, squee! Yeah, that's so awesome! So, yeah, I'm really enjoying the game. I mean, the bug really, ticked me off. But I finally got through night 4 of Five Nights at Freddy's, and oh, hey, someone just mentioned Five Nights at Freddy's, and he's amazed that Five Nights at Freddy's Part 2 came out like 3 months after the first one. Yeah, it's really incredible, despite how simple.
Yeah,
it is. I really like Five Nights at Freddy's, but I've my enthusiasm for it has cooled a little bit because the nights 4 and 5, I can't. This could just be me, but I can't figure out how to get through nights 4 and 5 without cheesing the system. What I mean by that is, in the game, you are in a Chuck E. Cheese's, and the animatronic characters come alive and try and get into your security office and kill you. So what you have to do is watch them on the security monitors, and when they get close, close the doors. And closing the door takes power for whatever reason. You have only so much power, so you can't keep them closed all the time. It's really atmospheric. The sound design is phenomenal, and it's really a lot of fun. Looking around in the different rooms and seeing the animals. Them. You rarely ever actually see them move. You just see them change location.
Yeah.
It's really creepy. It's really well done. Unfortunately, when you get to level 4 or night 4, I can't figure out how to beat it without cheesing the system. And what I figured out to do is check the left door. Shut the right door, bring up the camera to one area and make sure the foxes stand put the camera down, make sure no one's at the right door, open the right door, repeat the process until 6 a.m. You just do that over and over. Left door close, look, open, left door, you just go back and forth and keep doing that. On night 4, you can kind of take about a 10-second break between each cycle. On night 5, you have to speed that up a bit and do it maybe 5 seconds. But I'm like, that's not fun. I mean, I can beat the levels. Maybe there's a way to play it legit, and I just don't know how. But I'm like, that's just not fun. But I do, as simple as the game is, I do really quite like it. I love the aesthetic. I love the design. I love the sound design. Really, really very cool. Of course, I have fond memories of Pistol Pizza, which was Showbiz Pizza. So it speaks to me.
Oh, Showbiz Pizza. That's been forever.
yeah. I think Showbiz owned Pistol Pizza, but I knew it as Pistol Pizza back in Arizona. So. Okay. And they had those animatronic animals that didn't, just kind of, the hand was broken and just, the strumming hand of the guitar playing bear was just kind of, it was just kind of hanging. Yeah, they are kind of creepy in a way. But anyway, so what have you been playing this week?
Well, somebody asked about Valkyria Chronicles. No, it doesn't really have Gamer Luce. I guess that's how you say it. But asked if it has character customization, and no, it doesn't. Other than you can You can upgrade people's weapons and gear, and you can also capture enemy weapons and gear every once in a while. I've only captured a couple of weapons, and they were pretty crap weapons, so I never bothered using them. But yeah, you know, there's ways to get new weapons, and I guess if you do something just right, then yeah, you could probably get a decent weapon off of some boss character or something. But I haven't been able to get anything good off of any of the bad guys. But yeah, it's a great game. I'm probably not going to get it for for the PC because I've got it for the PS3, and I haven't even beaten that yet. But yeah, it's definitely a good game. Don't worry about customization because you know that's only a small part of it. The action is the meat of the game. So yeah, I definitely recommend it.
Which game now?
Valkyria
Oh,
Chronicles.
Valkyria Chronicles. Okay.
Yeah. But as for games that I've played this week, let's see, I we're still in the process of moving, so game time. I've been mainly focused on Angry Bird Epic on my iPhone, and then I've played a little bit more of that. But I also picked up a game just from a developer here in Oklahoma. The developer is called Picardy. Picardy Third Entertainment. So it's just like Captain Picard with a Y at the end of it, and it's Picardy-third.com is their website. But they've got a little puzzle platformer game called In a Window, and with that, it's you're a little robot, and the goal is to push the button to open the door, and you've got to figure out the puzzles in the room to open up the door. But the puzzles aren't really straightforward. They're designed to make you think outside of the box or outside the window, and so it's not just like moving and jumping and stuff. You've got to actually really experiment with other things that you can do to interact with the game. For instance, one level you actually have to move the game window in order to move platforms into position. So the platforms are set when you enter the level, and then moving the actual game window rearranges those platformers for you. And so, really interesting game. It's called In a Window, and at picardy3rd.com, and it's definitely you'll probably beat it in like 30 minutes to an hour because there's only 21 levels and they're all single screen levels. But just for the cheeky fun it is, I definitely recommend picking it up. It's available for free, but you can also pay what you want for it. I paid them a couple of dollars because I just really enjoyed the experience. So, but yeah, I ended up killing my robot 72 times before I beat the game, which is probably not not too good. But yeah, other than that, I haven't played any other games, but I did watch one of the latest Ninja Turtle episodes. They've got the new Ninja Turtle
Nickelodeon one.
Yeah, the Nickelodeon one.
Okay.
And this past episode, they had the Punk Frogs. Do you remember them?
Oh yeah, Rasputin.
Yeah, Rasputin the Mad Frog, Attila the Frog, Genghis Frog, and Napoleon Bonafrog. And they had them on there. And Rasputin, Attila, and Genghis were all really cool characters. They really fit the psychological profile of those historical characters. But then they took Napoleon Bonafrog and turned him into Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah. So I saw that and I was like, why in the world did they do that? The episode was this whole kind of Michelangelo gets everybody mad at him because he trashes the farmhouse they're staying in, and then he runs away and bumps into Napoleon Bonafrog, And the episode is designed to kind of be a buddy episode between the two, Michelangelo and Napoleon, and bringing the two groups together, after they fight each other, of course, because you can't have a superhero team up movie or show or comic or whatever without them fighting first.
No, right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I was very disappointed that Napoleon Bonafrog, he was my favorite character from the Punk Frogs in the 80s Ninja Turtles. The only Punk Frog I ever bought as an action figure, and then they turned him into Napoleon Dynamite, and I was very upset.
I'm not sure if I have any of the frogs. I'd have to check my toys.
Yeah, well, they only did two. They did Napoleon Bonafrog, and then I think Genghis was the other one.
No wonder I don't really remember them. So
yeah,
I probably don't have them.
Yeah, they never did. They never did the other two, whichever ones they were. But yeah, it was kind of disappointing. Napoleon Bonafrog, the toy from the original toy form, came with a little fly mutant. So it's like a little, some of the action figures had little buddy characters, and his was a fly, and I thought that was really cool. And eventually I got a Baxter Stockman, and then it was like father and son team up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been my week.
Matthew, we'll be talking about Ubisoft a little bit later in the show.
Oh yeah.
I think I forgot to mention it last week, but I did finish SteamWorld Dig, and I didn't really care for it.
I thought that final boss fight was pretty decent payoff for
yeah, I would have been cool if I like that it uses the mechanics that, it felt like that level's boss, and it's like, well, where were the other levels boss?
Yeah,
because it uses concepts introduced in that level to beat the boss. The only problem I had with it really is it was super easy because it handed out health regenerative items like candy.
Yeah.
I mean, I easily beat it my first, and I stopped trying because they kept throwing hearts or whatever at me. And then you beat the game, and it gets all story on you. It's like, where did all this story come from? But really, the biggest problem I had with the game is I didn't find digging fun. I found the traversal really tedious. I kind of liked the individual caves, which were
puzzles and
designed rooms that you had to figure out how to get through. Those I enjoyed. The randomly generated dig down places, I just felt that moving forward and back, especially when you weren't digging. I mean, when you're digging it, there's kind of an explorative element to it that's enjoyable, but getting back out and then getting back to where you were can be really, really tedious. There is a warp you can purchase, but you can only have one at a time, and the last one you placed leaves when you place a new one. So if you want to go check somewhere else and mine for more materials, you've got a bit of a walk. I think the upgrade path that they built into the game was really, really smart. There's a lot about the game that I did like, and a lot about it I do really admire. And I very much like the aesthetic. I'll be interested in checking out SteamWorld Heist.
Yeah.
See what they do with that. But yeah, this game just, I didn't find it that fun. I didn't find the major mechanic of digging through the ground and then wandering back up and back down. I found that more tedious than fun. So
yeah, based on what little information they've released about SteamWorld Heist, it looks like it's going to be a little more action-oriented game. Kind of a, I don't know exactly how it's going to play, but just the couple of videos that they've released, it looks like it might be like a 2D strategy, strategy game. So that'll be interesting. I don't know what else is, what else they're going to do with the game, but it's definitely one that I'm looking forward to checking out when it's finally released.
Yeah, our chat is talking about Sonic Boom, which is a new Sonic cartoon and new Sonic video game that released this week, which has debuted to some I wasn't expecting it to be good because I'm one of those people who thinks that Sonic is probably one of the single most overrated franchises ever. I mean, people bemoan how Sonic sucks these days. To me, I'm like, Sonic was never good. Not even on the Genesis. It's always been terrible. But, you know, Nintendo fanboy, so take that as you will. But, man, the reviews, I've read a couple of reviews now, and apparently a Sonic Boom is just terrible.
Well,
but as the chat's discussing, the cartoon apparently is pretty good.
yeah, well, that's usually happens, you know. But Penny Arcade, their Friday comic, was, you know, just basically, I guess, was their review of Sonic Boom. It had a let me describe this, but basically at the end of it, they kill Sonic, but it was still pretty entertaining. Oh yeah, Sonic holding a gun to his head, you know, that Gabe's character, Gabriel, is holding. He says, "If you ever loved me, you'll do it." And then he shoots, and there's a big blue blood splatter. But yeah, I guess that's their comic review of it, and so I'm probably I probably will trust them that it's that bad.
So Sonic has blue blood, huh?
According to Penny Arcade.
Yeah. It was funny. I think I was talking to someone in the Shoutbox, Neo Dr. Kefka or someone. Someone had one of my YouTube viewers, I think, had asked me, Andrew, what do you think the most overrated game or game franchise is? And I immediately thought, well, Sonic. May as well make a video about that. That's a controversial view. You know, I hate Sonic sucks. And so I was sitting down, brainstorming, organizing my thoughts, and Red Letter Media, they have a show called Previously Recorded, where two of the guys talk about video games. And right as I was outlining what I was going to say, they posted a video on why Sonic is the most overrated game franchise of all time. And I watched and I went, well, that saves me a video, because that's pretty much everything I was going to say. It's funny how many people in the world think like you. I find Jim Sterling thinks a lot like me in a lot of respects, because damned if that guy hasn't gotten to topics before. You know, I'll think, this would be a good idea for a video, and come Monday, Jim is done. I'm like, well, there's no point now. And that's happened like 3 times this year. And I'm like, damn it, if only I didn't have if only YouTube was my job, then maybe I could be a bit more competitive here. But, you know, I have an idea, and it's like maybe 2 weeks before I can possibly do it. Oh, another funny YouTube story is, I probably mentioned this before, but I've been thinking about doing a series of videos, 30 days of Netflix. I'd take one of my Netflix 30-day free trials, and I'd watch a movie and talk about it. No idea if that would be entertaining or if it would work, but I thought it would be something I'd try. I haven't got a Netflix free trial in like a year. I think Netflix is on to me. I think they kind of realize that I'm just using them for the free trials and I don't actually purchase a subscription. So anyway, I took the contract for the Lego Batman 3 guide. The very same damn day, I get a offer for a 30-day free trial for Netflix. And I'm like, well, son of a biscuit, because I leave on vacation December 17th, so I'm not going to be done with the game in 2 days. It's going to take me at least another week and a half to finish this guide, which means there is no way I can do these projects at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn it. Why are the good things not good enough? Why is my free stuff not convenient to me? You know. So, I mean, I'll probably get the free trial and just watch some movies on my own time after I finish Lego Batman 3, but I guess the 30 days of Netflix thing will have to wait until sometime next year. Hopefully it'll be better timed. Or maybe I'll just pick a few choice movies and do a few smaller bids later in the month.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, let us start the show.
All right.
25 minutes later. So this week's poll asks, when someone criticizes an aspect of the game that you like, do you take it personally? Now, I made a horrific, horrible, bad Andrew type mistake. When I wrote the poll article to this, I thought, that's kind of long for a title. So I shortened it and made the article title, Do You Take Video Game Reviews Personally? And a lot of people answering the poll answered the title of the article promoting the poll rather than what the poll was actually asking. While video game reviews are part of what I'm talking about, I'm also, of course, speaking of cultural criticism, much like Sarkeesian does with her Tropes versus Women series, and some of the other things that we've seen along those lines. The things that some people watch and go, I like it, or I disagree. Time for waffles. And then there's other people who go, I disagree, and she must die! Because she's attacking me with her opinion about something else that I disagree with. But also, I of course had in mind Polygon's review of Bayonetta 2, which most people gave Bayonetta 2 a 9.5 out of 10. Polygon gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Still a good score. The reviewers mentioned that Bayonetta sticking her butt in the camera frequently is something that he found distracting and interrupted his enjoyment of the game, and that's why the score was what it was. Now, there are, I kid you not, because I have actually had discussions with with people saying this, unless they're pulling my leg, that they took this review. They took this guy's opinion that this game, Bayonetta's butt in his face is, hampering his enjoyment of the game. They took that personally in the sense that what he's really saying is, if you like Bayonetta 2, you're a bad person. Which I don't agree is really a proper interpretation of that review.
No, not at all.
There are some people who watch Sarkeesian. God, I hope they're actually watching Sarkeesian's videos. And they say, well, Sarkeesian, what she's really saying is if I play any of the games she mentions, Watch Dogs, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, Hitman 7, whatever, I'm a bad person for liking and enjoying these games. Ignoring the fact that she actually goes out of her way, I think, in every single video to say the complete opposite. Needless to say, that's what I was asking about. When someone criticizes an aspect of a game that you like, does that piss you off? Do you take that personally? So it was a yes or no poll. We had 130 people vote. 16 people said yes. 114 said no, so 12% to 88%. So we've got 16 people who either take it personally, although I know a good number of those 16 people were kind of reading the poll as, do you take reviews personally? And if you told me, well, if the review is explicitly saying I'm a jerk for liking this game, well, yeah, I take that personally. And well, you should. I mean, if a reviewer or anyone actually makes it personal, then yes, you absolutely should take it personally, but that's not really what it was referring to. So I actually did go back and retitled that article a little late, but there you go. So I voted no. No, I don't take it personally when someone criticizes aspects of the game I like. How about you, Zachary?
I voted no. I'm just, if I don't agree with someone's opinion, I just ignore them. But I have come across people who take a lot of things seriously. Like, you threaten to give a game like Grand Theft Auto 5 like an 8 out of 10. You got people at your door with pitchforks and torches because you bash their favorite game franchise. You know, I've actually met
With
those
an
kind of
8.
yeah, with an 8. You know, I've met those kind of people on online, and they're idiots. You know, that's all I have to say. But I, you know, in the article or the comments section of the poll article, you know, we had a couple of people who mentioned the fact that you know, they do find, you know, certain things insulting, like you know, Earthworm Jim, you know, Earth W Jim, says if someone says a game is sexist and players can't help but be sexist, and I happen to like the game, it might offend me a little bit. And I'm like, of course, because that's a personal attack on a group of people. You know, they're not criticizing the game; they're criticizing the people who play the game, and that's not at all what we're talking about in this poll. You know, we're talking about, you know, if somebody says that they felt this presentation of this character was a sexist trope, you know, you take that serious, or, you know, personally, not if you play this game, you're a sexist. You know, you know, if somebody wanted to insult me, you know, I guess I probably take it a little seriously, you know, a little personally, but I tend to ignore those kind of people too, because that's just who I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that, you know, several people kind of took it that way. That you know, but you know,
Well, I know MSNBC's Ed Schultz once said that if you, as a parent, allow your child of any age to play Grand Theft Auto, you're a bad parent or bad person or something like that. So yeah, although, you know, I called my mom and I asked her what I have a video up on my YouTube channel. It's pretty funny. So I called my mom up and I said, "Hey mom, Grand Theft Auto 5 came out today," and she goes, "Yeah, I know." I said, "Is it okay with you if I play it?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, I just wanted you to know that MSNBC's Ed Schultz thinks you're a horrible parent." And she's, "I don't give a shit."
Yeah.
So, back in the day, back in 03, I wrote a review for Wind Waker, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. I gave it an 8.5. I got death threats.
Wow.
What was really truly amazing though is in the forum attached to the review I wrote, some of the people who were calling me names and stuff were actually engaging beyond just name calling, and they didn't disagree with my critique of the game. They didn't really they understood why I felt the way I felt, and they agreed with what I said in the body of the review. But damn it, you do not give Zelda an 8.5. You just don't do it.
Yeah.
Wow. So it had nothing to do with my opinion or the content of the review. You just do not give Zelda an 8.5. No, sir.
Makes you want to review the next Zelda and give it a 7.5 and see how they react.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. Skyward Sword might have. That might have. I don't know. I might have 8.5 that one too, but for different reasons.
You know, that one wasn't as well received as Wind Waker, so you know, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, that one would get lower scores, but yeah, but Wind Waker's yeah, but yeah, Wind Waker. I you know, one of your complaints about that one is the sailing just takes forever, and yes, I agree, and it's horrible, and. Yeah, and I'm glad they sped the sailing up in the Wii U version.
yeah. In the HD version for Wii U, later you can get a speed sail, which like doubles the speed. That really helps, because the world of Wind Waker, if you don't know, is divided into a 7x7 grid, and you sail. Most of it's ocean. You sail to get where you want to go. With the wind full at your back, it takes 60 seconds to cross a square. And eventually in the game you can warp, but you can only warp to 7 predetermined areas. So wherever you're going, you could possibly be 2 squares away. So It might just be you get in your boat, you point the wind in the direction you want to go, and you sit there for 2 minutes and do absolutely nothing because there is nothing on the ocean to do. I'm like, can't I fish and troll out the back of the boat while I'm going or something?
Well, you can get in fights with sharks and stuff, but that just tends to slow you down
Rarely.
because they're really annoying.
When I did my Mad with Zelda Love video years ago when I was making fun of this, I actually recorded footage from Wind Waker, and I sailed back and forth and recorded probably about 20 minutes of footage. And I did get chased by this flying pineapple-looking enemy thing. Never caught me. And I was going half speed, too. So there are enemies out there. Sometimes you'll hit thunderstorms. Sometimes the pineapple monster will chase you. But they never catch you, so it's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you all for participating in the poll this week. And for those of you who take things that are not directed at you personally, stop it.
Yeah, grow up.
There. I have just made the world a better place. I have improved the lives of several people. You're welcome.
Yes, Nestor, there are mini games where you can do kind of sailing through obstacles and over barrels and stuff to get rupees, but
Oh yeah, and there's a boss fight and some other fights that you get into on the water. My point is when you just want to get from point A to point B, a lot of times it's just sit in the boat and go. And you're like, ugh. And then you start rolling your neck or something, you're looking around the room, watching the paint dry or whatever, and you're like, oh crap, I just sailed past the island. And then you got to turn around and play the damn song again to get the wind going in the other direction, which is an unskippable cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
And so you end up jumping off the boat and swimming back because Link actually swims faster than the boat moves without the sail, and you just hope he doesn't drown before he gets to the island. So, anyway, but I do seriously really like Wind Waker. It's a phenomenal game, and 10 years ago when I played it, I was up till 3 a.m. every morning. So anyway, great game. Let us move on to our first topic, which is, hey, remember that paranautical activity game where one of the devs from Code Avarice, the very small development studio behind the game, threatened to kill Gabe Newell on Twitter because the game was mislabeled as an early access title, and then Steam said, well, okay, and took the game off of Steam. And then the guy himself said, okay, I'm going to, I exploded, I was immature, I'm going to step down from Code Avarice so that, my outbursts don't affect them. I hope, everything goes well in the future. Well, that was slightly less than a month ago, I think, and this guy has returned to Code Avarice, which I didn't see coming. A couple weeks ago, we asked, do you think this game will eventually make it on Steam?
Yeah.
It never actually occurred to me, do you think the guy will return to Code Avarice?
Yeah, that
in a way,
my mind too.
Yeah, it makes the apology and the
stepping down and all that.
Stepping down feel kind of disingenuous. I mean, like it was a stunt. Like he stepped down and went, "Oh, well, that didn't get our game on Steam. Oh well, I guess I'll just get back with the company now." I don't know if that's the case, but you could certainly have that takeaway from it. So, what did you think when you first read about that?
I thought that was just weird. I guess it wasn't out of the completely out of the blue. Like I figured maybe at some point these guys would probably work together again, but it just never occurred to me that it would happen so soon. And so I saw this and I was just like, that's weird. Are they trying to avoid Steam at this point? Do they ever want to be on Steam again? But it looks like they're taking actions. They have a dedicated Paranautical Twitter account, which both guys have to agree before anything gets posted and stuff. So I guess he'd probably be free to air his grievances on his own Twitter account, but they won't be the opinion of the company. I don't know. That just seems weird, especially for such a small shop. The personal accounts for everybody working with a small game development account, tends to reflect on the game company. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens at this point, because, to be honest, with him coming back, I don't see that game ever getting on Steam.
Yeah, and I've thought about that, and I think, it just, if it does come back to Steam, then it's almost like there are no consequences for bad behavior. I don't think Code Avarice is the studio or the development company is blacklisted from Steam. I think we'll see products from them show up to Steam as long as their Twitter stays clean. But yeah, Paranautical Activity, I think they kind of boned themselves on that particular game. But
but the Spinal Destination, which is their next announced game, that could probably make it there, just
which was funny because they say Spinal Destination. It's a mix of this, this, and this, and not one of the thises is Final Destination, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah, but yeah, somebody pointed out that one of the games of their inspiration was Valve's Left 4 Dead, so they thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. So. Well, it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. Hopefully, as I said when we discussed this the last time, the Mike who said, die Gabe Newell, he's a kid. He's very young 20s, and I can understand the emotion because you have your game, it's on Steam, it's mislabeled, that can kill it. That could get your game dead. So I see where he was coming from, and it's like I don't want the guy's professional career to die over what was a stupid mistake and a bad move, but still, a mistake.
Personally, I think them, publicly airing that, it's like, hey, our game is mislabeled on Steam. We've sent we've tried to contact Valve about it, and nothing's happened yet. This is frustrating the crap out of me. That's where it should have ended. It never should have gone further than that.
Yeah, to Code Avarice's credit, they are being very upfront about all of this, because, boy, would it be bad if someone on Twitter just revealed that, dude, that Mike guy is back with Code Avarice! That would be a scandal worthy of Gamergate! Wait, no, that has nothing to do with ethics in games journalism, so no, that's not a Gamergate. I've been teasing the hell out of people with that whole ethics in games journalism thing because it's off topic, I know, but a lot of people are like, "How come there's this big scandal thing here?" One of them is Ubisoft, which we'll be talking about pretty quick. It's like, why isn't Gamergate all over this? And I'm like, well, because it's about ethics in games journalism, not ethics in games publishing. And it's funny and it's true. There's also I'm seeing some people in Gamergate try and do things to make Gamergate itself actually work. There's a website called Gamergate Facts, which is trying to just exactly what it says. It's just listing ethical concerns, a very clinical look at things with sourcing, and it's trying something that could work. There are things it's doing well, things it's doing not well, but it's at least a first step in doing something constructive. There is crap. There's a second one I totally forgot. Oh, there's some dossier. There's some Gamergate manifesto or something that someone wrote, which is basically, it's about ethics in journalism. We want this. We like this. We don't like this. And pancakes are rad. Sincerely love all of us. I haven't read it thoroughly. I skimmed it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. This is at least something that, when Forbes or the Wall Street Journal or Time or New Yorker or whoever, looks over at us gamers and goes, "Ooh, well, what the hell is this Gamergate?" They actually have something to look at now instead of a hashtag on Twitter where a bunch of people are, well, I like this, well, I like that, well, I'm about the, no one knows what the hell's going on. So there's actually something concrete and written.
And all that is a lot better than that group of gamergaters who just want all personal opinion removed from game reviews. I don't know how that works, but they just don't want personal opinion to impact a review of a game.
Yeah, there's another one that Jim Sterling beat me to the punch on. I had the idea of doing a completely objective review of Bayonetta 2. Just, Bayonetta 2 is a game. There are 12 levels in this game. Bayonetta has, 22 costumes that she can change into. Just listing facts, telling nothing about, just doing a completely objective and incredibly boring and useless review of Bayonetta 2, just as a joke. Then Jim Sterling does exactly that. I think he did a totally different game, but
Final Fantasy 13.
There you go. It was actually something he had done and written for me a year ago. So
yeah.
God. Man, that guy keeps beating me to the punch. Or the way I like to look at it is he's saving me a lot of work. So, interesting thing about the Gamergate dossier thing, I had 3 people link that document to me as proof of some other claim that they were making. And this all happened in one day. They're like, well, rainbows, and here's the proof. And they'd send me the Gamergate document, and I'd be like, this is a lovely document, but it has absolutely nothing to do with what you just said. Nothing.
Yeah. Nothing.
And that happened like 3 times on Thursday or Friday. It was so weird.
Yeah, and that tends to be the case. Every time I've had a conversation with somebody from Gamergate, it's anytime they actually provide proof, it's something totally unrelated to what we were actually discussing, and it's really annoying.
That's right, Nestor. You don't want personal bias to affect your personal bias, or personal opinion to impact your personal opinion. Yeah. Yeah. So okay, let us move on. Okay, let's talk Ubisoft. So Ubisoft has been having a time of it this week. Not only has Assassin's Creed Unity just been a buggy mess, sometimes hilariously so, even worse than the Lego game.
Yeah.
And so it's a buggy mess with characters falling through the floor, character models collapsing under their own weight, faces getting turned inside out, online connectivity being a humongous problem. Holy biscuits, has it been a problem. What has made this actually worse is it looks like we now have the perception that Ubisoft knew that Assassin's Creed Unity was a buggy piece of garbage because it had embargoed reviewers from releasing their reviews until noon on the day of release.
Yeah.
What that looks like is Ubisoft going, okay, this is a buggy mess. All of the reviewers are going to call it a buggy mess, but if we embargo them, say to noon on launch day, we'll get a bunch of those sales from the midnight launch to noon. Everyone will have bought the game, and then it will be too late. Probably, and then evil laughter.
Evil laughter, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
definitely what it looks like. It's like the embargo thing was news itself, and a lot of game reviewers and websites just like this embargo is incredibly stupid. Why are you embargoing us until after the game is released? It makes absolutely no sense. And then all this news about all the crappy bugs, and it's like, yeah, that's why they embargoed it. There's no question about it at this point. Mm-hmm. But what's really fun is that Ubisoft, throughout the whole thing, they're like, yeah, we're aware of the problems, You know, and then they had did some kind of live blog where they talked about, you know, some of the problems that they're aware of, and it's just like, you know what? If you had game testers test the game before you released it, there probably wouldn't be this many bugs. Yeah, but they're not into that whole thing, I guess. They're getting worse than Traveler's Tales, apparently.
Can you imagine if movies did this crap? You know, if you went to go see Avengers 2 on opening day, and you know sequences in the movie were just storyboards, and there were unfinished effects, and the sound wasn't mixed in places, and the color wasn't timed right in places, and there was
You could see all the boom mics, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
there's
it
a
wasn't
whole camera
properly.
crew. You know, it's like,
Disney is like no, and Disney like patched it a week or two later. It's like okay, here's Avengers 2 1.1 patch. Go back to the theater and watch it again. This should take care of the unfinished effects that hamper the enjoyment of some of our viewing audience on opening weekend.
yeah, it's or it's that would be totally unacceptable in the film business. Most television channels would never accept that. Book publishers would never get away with it. Yes, some books are pretty crap, and they do have typos here and there, but they're usually not run-on sentences for 2 pages and crap like that. They're fairly well edited, but but all this would be unacceptable in any other industry except the games industry, and the reason is because it's super easy to patch day one. And, it's easier to patch day one than it is to do quality testing before launch, apparently, and it's it's terrible. I used to rag on Facebook games, for the fact that nobody, they use the public as their beta testers, and they didn't actually test the games before release. They just threw out their code and said, okay, if something breaks, let us know, and it's just that happened on pretty much every game I ever played on Facebook, and I always thought that was pretty terrible, and now it's moved to pretty much every game ever. Every console game, every PC game, for at least from the AAA industry is like that, and it's sad. It's really sad when like a 4-man game development shop can release a game with fewer bugs than Ubisoft can, with all of its billions of dollars at its disposal, and hundreds of people. It's really, really sad to see that dichotomy, and that indie developers take better care of their product than AAA developers. But yeah.
Matthew says, repeat after me, stop pre-ordering games. I remember back when I was younger, pre-ordering games was fun. Because you get cool toys or something, and this was before the internet. Now I remember Babbage's. I went into Babbage's or Electronics Boutique, and I pre-ordered Ocarina of Time to get the gold one. Damn it! Nowadays, I totally agree with Matthew, and you see this call far and wide on the internet. Stop pre-ordering games, because man, oh man. A lot of times, especially EA, Activision, Ubisoft, you can't guarantee that the damn thing works. And we've had a lot of games right now that are going on right now that are having problems. Drive Club doesn't work at all. I think Destiny had some problems. Sony has something that's screwing up, and I can't remember what it is. Don't remember. But, it seems like, Activision's game, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is having some online issues. And, man alive. Don't pre-order games. Wait until it comes out. Wait until it works. Buy it.
And I would add on to that, it's like, don't pre-order a game, or don't even buy a game that has reviews embargoed until after release. That's a giant red flag as big as a city there. You know, that's definitely a game you should avoid until after the reviews come in.
Now, another part of the story is Steven Totilo over at Kotaku has said that, has drawn a line in the sand and says, we will no longer be accepting post-release embargoes. In other words, if Ubisoft says, here's a pre-order game, stipulation, you can't review it until 6 hours after it launches, Kotaku won't accept the game. So
good on them.
Good on them, and I expect we'll probably see a few follow.
A few other publishers, yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
I would imagine so.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, going back to the whole Gamergate thing, you know, it's like, you know, they talk about how it's all ethics and game journalism, but the fact is that a lot of the problems, you know, a lot of problems that are in the games journalism side of things comes from publishers who have a lot of money and a lot of pull. You know, is just, you know, they do this. You know, it's like, you know, Ubisoft has the power to tell Kotaku, it's like, you know, if you don't abide by this embargo, we are never going to talk to you again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that has a lot of sway in the games industry, or in the games journalist industry, and you know, and to me, you know, that seems like, you know, something that, you know, Gamergate should you know, take to heart and focus on. And,
one thing. Go
ahead, and then we had that similar problem where you know, that other company were, you know, was trying to, it's like, you have to do this in your video reviews of our game. It's like, you have to do this and this and this, and you can't do this and this and this. We have to pre-approve your video. It's like, you know, Gamergate really dropped the ball on that one too, and it's just, you know, it you know, to me, you know, that's the kind of stuff that I think they need to, you know, focus more on.
I would think Gamergate would want to expand its focus a little bit further than just ethics in games journalism. I would think they'd want to ethics in the game industry.
Yeah.
I would think they would want to expand that focus, and many in Gamergate actually do. And that's kind of the problem with Gamergate, because every person wants something different or approaches things in a different way. And I think one of the things that would be very valuable for Gamergate would be to not only, and you need some type of organized hub to actually do this. Maybe the Gamergate Facts site that I mentioned earlier might be the one to do this, but would be to not only point out where game journalists or the wider industry are getting it wrong, but who's getting it right. You know, it needs to be I think it would help if it was some type of consumer guide, some way to say, you know, this publication is on the Gamergate shit list because reasons, but these publications over here are doing it right because reasons. You know, that way you can drive the traffic to where it should be going. You know, to the ethical journalists and ethical publishers and ethical, you know, but as just people saying nice or mean or neutral things on Twitter, I don't think anything's really going to get done.
Yeah, I do believe that Gamergate, somewhere out there, is like a whitelist of websites. It's like, these are the websites that we think are doing a good job. I believe that's out there, but I haven't looked too much into it, so I don't know.
Yeah, well,
there are.
Yeah, there is. And again, this is just a bunch of people in Gamergate. Plenty other Gamergaters probably aren't going to agree with this particular list, but there is a, you know, bad websites and good websites. Game Politics is not on either list.
Of course not.
But what that list really, I don't like that list, because what that list seems to be is, here are sites that publish articles that we take personally. Here are sites that don't. So, you know, Gamasutra was on the list because of Lee Alexander. Then I learned that her name is actually Lee, not Lay. Oops. Yeah. Because of her Gamers Are Over article. And Kotaku was on the list, I guess, for actually linking to her article. But, you know, so that one seemed one of those kind of pissy, vindictive lists. they're saying mean things about gamers, which they're really not. But so but I think when Gamergate could be like the Yelp of the gaming industry. It's like,
Yeah.
IGN, Polygon, Kotaku, whatever. I wonder what everybody says about this. And you'd go to Gamergate Facts or Gamergate.com or wherever and go, oh, well, these are unethical nut muffins, so what about this one? The ethics are strong with them, so we can go here. But again, Gamergate is just kind of everyone fighting and yelling at each other, and it's been 3 months, and it's quieting down, but nothing's really been accomplished, which actually leads us, I believe, into our next topic, which, okay, it doesn't, but I am going to move our next topic up, which is one of the things that Gamergate, and I hate to generalize, but it's almost impossible not to. When I say Gamergate, and then I follow it up with something, I mean the specific people in Gamergate who did this. I know it's not everybody. I'm afraid there's no membership card, so it's so hard to talk about Gamergate. But anyway, a month ago or so, Gamergate started, or some in Gamergate started a emailing campaign to email companies who advertise on websites that published op-ed pieces that they found disagreeable or whatever. And one of these, of course, was Gamasutra, who published Lee Alexander's Gamers Are Over article, which rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So they en masse emailed Intel, who was advertising on the site, and said, they're saying mean things about gamers, and I'm not going to buy an Intel product if you're going to support this stuff. Number one, I don't believe them for a minute. I remember years ago there was this massive boycott on Call of Duty, or so. Well, we're not going to play Call of Duty until something, and then they started looking, and every single one of these people was playing Call of Duty on Steam at the time. Anyway, so Intel said, "Oh crap! There's 1,000 people emailing us. Let's pull our ads because we don't want people to be pissy." So they pulled ads, and then a bunch of other people said, You are supporting misogyny and other bad things. And Intel's like, oh, shit, we better look and see what the hell Gamergate is. Put our foot in it now. So Intel kind of backpedaled and said, look, we don't agree with harassing, we don't agree with, feminism good, sexism bad, harassing is bad. We just received a lot of complaints about ads on a site, so we pulled them. Oops. A month later, this week, Intel has reinstated its ads on Gamasutra. So, and I have seen some people on Twitter, the two people I've seen, neither of them identified as Gamergate, so I'm just talking about two individual people, not an entire group. I saw two people who were like, "No, it's not true."
Yeah.
And I saw other people going, "Yeah, it is. Look, this is an ad. It's from Intel. These are the quotes from Gamasutra. These are the quotes from Intel. What more do you need?" And like, no, that's Google AdSense, and has no control. And that's just an ad that just got pulled from. It's like, no, it's not. Here's some more proof for you. So it was so weird seeing just two. I don't know how widespread that opinion is, but I saw two people who just would not accept that Intel is once again running ads on Gamasutra. So, any thoughts or insight on this particular story, Zachary?
Just the certain responses. There was a the Reddit group Kotaku in Action. I don't know why they came up with that name, but they posted this response to this news. It says, well, this is one particular guy in that thread. Kiwiku. I don't know. It says the reason I'm here is to say I told you so. says, like the boll weevil that ruined the large plantations, Intel reinstating ads has shown the weakness of a strategy that almost entirely relies on one tactic. I've been sounding the alarm about this for weeks, but few have listened. I'm glad this happened because I think it's a great opportunity for us to reevaluate and diversify. Basically saying that, Gamergate focused on this, email the advertisers, to get them to drop their ads on these websites, and and that's been kind of their only tactic on fighting these websites they disagree with, and this guy's like, yeah, I knew this wasn't going to work, we were going to fail eventually, and really they have, and the problem is that Gamergate, because it's such a loose coalition of gamers, they really have no sway in the public opinion. Very few mainstream media sites are reporting Gamergate through the eyes of Gamergate. They're reporting basically what they've seen and read everywhere else, and it's just, so basically all of them are calling them, hate group or whatever. They're basically not describing Gamergate the way Gamergate wants to be described, and that's probably one of the main reasons why Intel reevaluated them pulling their ads, is because there really is no other narrative for them to weigh against the narrative that basically all media outlets are describing, and so their only real option at that point was like, yeah, we're just going to put our ads back up on Gamasutra because as they say, it says we have a long history of support for gaming and game developer communities, and Gamasutra's audience is an important constituency. They know how important their technology is to game developers, and removing their ads from one of the biggest game developer oriented sites is just kind of a bad move, just because one...
From a business perspective, yeah.
Yeah, from a business perspective, it's just like they really can't justify pulling their ads off of such a large site because of one editor's opinion piece. That's really all it comes down to. Is just one article, one opinion piece isn't really enough, to justify removing their ads from Gamasutra. And to be honest, that's where things are going to fail, because very few websites are constantly churning out, crap against Gamergate, or the pieces that are unethical. It's very few websites are doing that, and it's just they haven't been able to build a strong case against any one particular website. So, but maybe somebody will open a blog called unethicalgamesjournalism.com and do everything wrong, and Gamergate can point to that and say, this site's evil and stuff, but that hasn't happened yet.
No ethics here, by gum.
Yeah.
We don't play like that at unethicaljournalism.com. What would you like to hear? Give us money and
we'll write it.
So, all right, last topic for tonight, unless you're on the other side of the pond, and last topic for this morning is Amiibo, which is Nintendo's little Skylander / Disney Infinity toy thing. We learned a little bit about Amiibo this week in that an Amiibo, one of the little figurines, can only hold the save data of one game at a time. Right now, that doesn't really matter because there's only 3 games that work with Amiibo, and of the 5 or 6 games that are planned to work with Amiibo, only one of them that we know of so far actually writes data to the Amiibo, and that's Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
But eventually, you would imagine there's going to be another game that will write data to your Amiibo. When that happens, and you've got your Link Amiibo that you've been playing in Smash Brothers, and you've leveled him up to level 50, and he's a total badass, and you want to use that Amiibo in, Xenoblade Chronicles, which for some reason works with the Link Amiibo. Probably should have said Shulk. let's change that to Shulk. So you've leveled up Shulk to level 50, and Xenoblade Chronicles comes out, and holy biscuits, it's another one that interacts with the Shulk amiibo and will write data to it. You are going to have to delete the Smash Brothers fighter that you have spent so many hours training. Or you go to the store and you buy a second Shulk character.
Yeah.
Currently, there is no way to actually save the game data off the amiibo and store it onto the Wii U, which would seem like a really obvious bit of functionality. I mean, it's not really necessary right now because there are not two games that do this, but I imagine this is going to be a problem in the future, and with Nintendo, you just never know.
Yeah, hopefully Nintendo looks at this and realizes, yeah, it might be a good idea to be able to transfer that data off and store it in like one little spot here on the Wii's memory, hard drive, and so that it can be pulled later. But yeah, that seems like such a bizarre and obvious, bug in the whole Amiibo thing.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why a single Amiibo character can only hold, it only has so much room, and I understand why it only holds one game at a time, but it's like, I'm sure Nintendo would be happy with you buying multiple copies. This is my Smash Brothers Shulk, this is my Xenoblade X Shulk. Of course, they may actually sell a Smash Brothers Shulk and a specific Xenoblade Shulk, a different pose. Boy, did Nintendo, is it just me or did Nintendo really rush on the designs of the Amiibos? Some of the poses just do not work as figurines.
Yeah.
I think the problem is they just had to produce these, and they said just take the trophy, the character's trophy, and use that as the pose. Well, some of them are like, Luigi planking, standing at a 45-degree angle, doing kind of the Michael Jackson, doing that.
Yeah.
Which is fine when it's a computer-rendered image, but as a physical toy, you need to have a brace here, otherwise it's just going to snap and fall over. So you have Luigi kind of planking on this weird piece of plastic. You have Link has this amber piece of plastic stuffed up his backside. Captain Falcon is doing like a football kick, and he's got a piece of plastic up his bum. It's like, why didn't you do, Falcon Punch?
Yeah.
It really reads to me like Nintendo just didn't have the time and said, just use the trophy poses, and let's get them out there. They didn't have time to do new poses for the toys. Because man, some of those toys are not designed to be toys.
Yeah. Well, they're not really toys so much as they're just figurines, but yeah, I hadn't even noticed that because I really hadn't looked at them at all. But they probably did kind of rush it because they wanted to get them out for the holiday season here in the U.S. and and they're competing with Skyrim and Disney Infinity, and so yeah, they probably did rush it. But as we were talking about this whole Amiibo thing, it does remind me of a very little-known feature of the Wii Remote. It has some onboard storage on it.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing you can store on it is your Mii character, so you can transfer that to other Wiis. And I always thought that was such a wasted piece of technology, because I'm like, so my thought was, having a little bit of storage on the Wii Remote, that would be cool. Be able to take a save game from your Wii and put it on the Wii Remote, and then just take that over to your friend's house and be able to play your all your unlocked characters and levels from Smash Brothers on their Wii.
It's probably only like 4K. It's probably
it's definitely small, but it's just like that would have been really cool if they put enough memory on there to allow that, and actually allowed it. But yeah, just something that I don't ever hear anybody talking about that feature, the Wii Remote, and
Yeah. Well, speaking of allowing it, Nintendo did say in one of its, it had its investor Q&A, and this is where a lot of this information comes from. They said they were open to the idea of third parties making amiibos. So if whatever the name of the company that does SteamWorld Dig makes SteamWorld Heist, and they want to make their amiibos with SteamWorld characters, they potentially could.
yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah, they're also doing the chips and cards and stuff like that. So so that's definitely cool that they're
another
like other forms of it.
Yeah, another thing that was mentioned was that they were looking into having cheaper forms of amiibos in the forms of just amiibo NFC cards. So instead of buying a $13 Shulk statue, which someone in the chat mentioned is a GameStop exclusive. Yes, it is. Does that mean Xenoblade Chronicles X or Cross, probably Xenoblade Chronicles Cross, is going to be a GameStop exclusive? Only if Nintendo really wants the game to sell less than it would otherwise. But what the hell was I saying? Oh, yeah, so instead of buying a $13 Amiibo figurine, you could buy a cheaper card.
Yeah, like a $3 card.
Cool having a little toy on your shelf, but I just want to unlock the spinner weapon in Hyrule Warriors, but I don't want to drive down to the store, look for the Link or Toon Link amiibos, can't find them, drive to another store, come home, you can't find them, go on Amazon, buy it, wait a week or two or three for it to ship to. Yeah, just let me pay $1 to unlock the damn weapon, Yeah. And unfortunately, and this was kind of the fear I had, they're not as egregious ripoffs as Skylanders and Infinity, because they typically don't unlock content in a game you already paid full price for. They're mostly being used as keys that unlock DLC.
Yeah.
And the keys can actually unlock multiple DLC potentially, but you never know which keys or which games. So, will you have the amiibo that opens the most DLC? I still don't like that. Me personally, I want the amiibos to do something to add an experience that I couldn't have without them. And so far, I'm not seeing that. And I had the same problem with the Game Boy Advance connectivity with the GameCube way back in the day. Because all they used it for was, hey, if you plug in the Game Boy Advance, it will unlock content in the game that you already paid for, like a little island in Animal Crossing. Although, to be fair, you did actually play on the island on the Game Boy Advance. Or a new costume in Metroid Prime or whichever Metroid game it was. It's like the costume is on the disc. I don't really want to buy a $150 handheld just to unlock it. I don't like that. I don't like these expensive keys to unlock content in a game I already own. That's not innovative. It's not interesting. It's not fun.
Yeah. So. But Matthew says they should bring back the card reader, but the fact is, this is the card reader now.
Kind of. Only the cards are really expensive, and there's no actual data on the cards. It's just a key that says, "Oh, okay, you can unlock this bit of."
Well, the card readers were just basically QR codes that you just scan the card reader, and so and all that did was just unlock content that was already on the game.
Well, some of them were actually were very small games that were actually coded into the edges of the card, and you had to swipe all 4 damn edges, and it would read in the code, and it would run that program. This is an interesting idea back before your handheld connected to the internet. But I don't have as a gamer. Me personally, I have so far no interest in buying or collecting Amiibos.
Yeah.
I like video games. I'm not so much into little toys, although you do see some toys and stuff in the background. I don't buy any of that stuff that's given to me. I just acquire it somehow.
Yeah.
So Matthew's joking about the card reader, if that wasn't clear. There was some cool stuff. One of our readers says there was some cool stuff with the Game Boy Advance linking, though, like Chow Garden, which actually was possible to be ported from Dreamcast because of it. Don't remember that game, but the Pac-Man Versus thing was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so was Four Swords.
Yeah, Four Swords, and then Crystal Chronicles. I think they just mainly did mini games on the Game Boy Advances, but still, that was kind
yeah,
of
that actually, some of those experiences actually, it's like, wow, I'm having an experience that just wouldn't be the same if you put the little screens, here and here.
Yeah.
You could do it in the same way that you could probably port some DS games to the big screen, but why would you want to? I mean, they actually did port some of the Phoenix Wright games to the Wii Virtual Console, and it was like, why would you want to play them there? I mean, it's kind of odd to play a dual screen game. I mean, it almost be like porting it, putting 3DS games on the Wii U Virtual Console. You've got two screens; they're different sizes. One of them is a touch screen and 3D. So, would you put one screen on the Wii U pad? And,
I don't know. I do. Square Enix actually did some game that it was an RPG. I think it was a Final Fantasy one, but it was available for both the DS and the Wii. And the Wii version was kind of a picture-in-picture style thing. Picture-in-picture for TV. It's basically the same thing. It's like you have your main screen here and your secondary screen down here, and it was really weird. But they kind of made it work, but I don't think it was very popular. So they never tried it again. But
Dexter over on YouTube says Final Fantasy Chronicles and Zelda FS Four Swords Adventure. That's what it is. Made the Game Boy Advance connectivity totally worth it. Yeah, they actually did come up with some interesting uses for that. Kind of like the Wii U gamepad. There are actually a handful of games out there that have some pretty cool uses for it. Zombie U is still my favorite. But it still, even 2 years into the Wii U's life, is kind of hard to answer the question, why do you need a touchscreen on your controller?
Yeah.
And on the same token, it's like
you can honk the horn in Mario Kart.
Mario, yeah, and it is pretty useful though, especially I'm really interested in how Xenoblade Chronicles Cross uses it. I imagine it's probably going to have map and inventory management and all kinds of stuff on it, which could potentially be very cool because the menu system, especially in regards to inventory, skills, arts, weapons, armor, equipping, that stuff, in the original Xenoblade was a little clunky. It worked, but you had to brute force it, So it might be a lot more elegant and user friendly because of the touchpad on the gamepad. So really looking forward to that game, even though we still really don't know that much about it.
Yeah.
I was really interested. Did you see the recent Nintendo Direct where they showed a new trailer for Xenoblade?
No, I haven't watched any of the Nintendo Directs in a few weeks.
They've taken a graphical pass at it in the last 6 months. It's looking even more impressive than it did last time.
Yeah.
There are still a few issues with some level of detail. The LOD management when you get closer to something and it kind of pops in. Some of that is still a little rough, but with an area that large, complex, and open, that's kind of to be expected. So, I think that's good enough for one evening, so
Alright.
I think we are done here. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll be back next week. But before we
Yep.
go, let us plug our stuff. My name's Andrew Eisen. Last name is spelled Eisen. And type it into YouTube. You can find my videos. I know I haven't done much original content, if any original content, lately. I've just been, uploading hour by hour my extra live stream. I know a couple of you have been enjoying that. I'm glad you are. I just don't have the time, man. I'm working and doing freelance work. I have no damn time. I actually have some stuff scripted. I just don't have the time to actually do it right now. So hopefully I'll have a couple things by the end of the year. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Twitter at Andrew Eisen. I have a Facebook page, which is Andrew Eisen YouTube. And yeah, that's it. So Zachary, plug away.
Alright, you can follow me on Twitter at EasyKnight, and you can also check out DK_gaming for my game development work at divineknightgaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter, and it's okgamedev.com. And you can also check out random musings in the games industry from me over at randomtower.com. So check out those places.
All right. You've been listening to Super Podcast Action Committee, episode 122. You can listen to us every week, Saturday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on GamePolitics.com or my YouTube channel. Either place works for me. There are also audio versions of this podcast that are made available a little bit later in the week, so keep your eye on Game Politics and you'll see them. Let's see. You can send us email at superpackpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at superpackpodcast. Subscribe and rate us on iTunes and like us on Facebook. That's it for us. We are out of here. I'm going back to playing Lego Batman 3. Hopefully it doesn't screw up again. And yeah, we will see you next Saturday. So take care, y'all.
See ya.